Since the early 90s, this million-mile-an-hour mammal managed to spin dash into the hearts of gamers worldwide. Heralding as the flagship mascot for the Sega Genesis, this blue blur was an instant hit almost overnight. Although the franchise isn't as popular as it once was, Sonic, his furry friends, and the maniacal Dr. Eggman still thrive successfully in the marketplace, selling a total of about 86 million units so far. So today we take a look at 7 mind-blowing facts that you probably didn't know about the Sonic the Hedgehog series. We all know that Sonic has a special affinity for chili dogs, but we had no idea to the extent of how insatiable his appetite really is. Being able to run faster than the speed of sound, which, by the way, creates a sonic boom, Sonic can burn through a buttload of calories, so his calorie intake has to be high. According to the Sonic comic number 5, he once ate 300 hot dogs and 100 thick milkshakes, and that was a second breakfast after eating 200 hamburgers. Man, this guy would really be a monster at hot dog eating contest. Watch out, Joey Chestnut. Dr. Eggman is a feminist. Well, sort of. Let me explain. The translation team that made the manual for Sonic Heroes says the antagonist is a romanticist, a feminist, and a self-proclaimed gentleman. But it turns out that the Japanese word feminisuto means someone who showers women with gifts and is basically a chivalrous person. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's someone who speaks out or stands up for the rights of women. And honestly, it sounds more like a guy who wants to be a sugar daddy. But upon further research, the original Japanese manual doesn't even have the word feminisuto in it at all. It turns out that the Sega's US translation team added all that stuff about Eggman to try to sound cool to Western audiences, and without fully understanding the word usage. With all that being said, ladies, he's single and ready to mingle. Michael Jackson wrote songs for Sonic 3. After he released his own game Moonwalker on the Sega Genesis, he and the Sonic team negotiated a deal to where he would produce the music for the entire game. According to Jackson's composer and musical director, Brad Buxer, Jackson hated the way the system made his music sound. He decided to leave the project midstream and didn't want it to be credited in the final version of the game. He didn't want his name associated with the poor sound quality. At first, the Sega team was bummed out about Michael's exit, but when the allegations of child sex abuse started to arise, they scrambled to replace the music Michael Jackson composed for the game. They kept his involvement with the project a secret to avoid any bad publicity, but there are definitely some portions of Michael's compositions left in the game. In 1993, Japan released a weirdly titled Sega Sonic the Hedgehog. No, seriously, that's what it's called. It was a 3D-ish platformer that supported 3 players using trackballs to move the character. Y'all remember that game Marble Madness? Yeah, well, they just basically replaced the marbles with Sonic and his friends and then plopped them down in arcades across Japan. By the way, the 2 other guys in the game are Mighty the Armadillo and Ray the Flying Squirrel. You know what though? As bad as the gameplay and the controls look, I'd still play this over Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric any day. It's a horrible game. 90s kids across the world can definitely recognize this nostalgic sound. Sega! But did you know that this soundbite at the beginning of Sonic 1 took up 1/8 of the cartridge data? Sega! Speaking of 90s culture, The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog was a cartoon starring Sonic himself and his younger sidekick Miles Tails Prower. Get it? Miles Prower? Miles per hour? Okay. In the cartoon series, Sonic is voiced by Jaleel White, who is famous for playing Steve Urkel on the show Family Matters. You don't know what show I'm talking about? Moving on. Along with the popular Sonic the Hedgehog video game in 1991, Sega of America released a promotional comic that explains the origin story of Sonic himself. In it, it shows a brown and very spiky hedgehog. He stumbles across the secret lair of friendly Dr. Ovi Kintobor. Hey, that's Dr. Ivo Robotnik spelled backwards. Pretty clever. Kintobor decides to study Sonic's speed, putting him on an experimental treadmill meant to gauge how quickly he could run. Sonic reaches the speed of sound, causing the treadmill to explode and turning his hue from brown to blue. Kintobor says that it must be the cobalt effect. Whatever that is. He then makes him a pair of frictionless red-buckled shoes that enables him to reach speeds on an average of about 3,000 miles per hour. Sega of Japan hated the origin story, but didn't put up too much of a fight. The official Sonic comic number 8 redid the promo with a better art style to reinforce the idea that this was the official origin story. Dr. Eggman is responsible for Sonic's super speed? Talk about shooting yourself in the foot. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to this channel for more videos, and next time you see your buddies, you can blow their minds with some of these amazing facts.